read the script and I was charmed by it. I thought it was really interesting, and I thought, this would be really hard to pull off. And I loved the character that he offered me to play. My reaction to the script was, this is a tall order. If he can do this, this will be a really interesting movie. So the next step was to meet Olayo. So then I met him, and we sat and talked here, and then so I said, okay, I'm glad I did. For someone who hasn't seen this movie, you'd have to imagine a very vivid conversation with yourself. And you know the way that your imagination will suddenly take you away, you'll think of something, you'll have an erotic fantasy, you'll forget where the grocery list is or your car keys. The movie has that quality of a mind jumping around and a kind of dialogue between different aspects of the self. And that self happens also to be a very smart person who's also commenting on the culture and values of materialism and manipulation and propaganda and our expectations of what movies and art are about. So I'm not sure that tells you much, except that it's not going to be like a movie you've seen before. The film is about film itself and the ways in which film shores up political and social systems and is used to create archetypes for people to imitate and follow, and the way in which films create kind of propaganda values. And so on a deeper level, it's really about the entire mental programming of the American system. Well, it's impossible to be totally original. So yeah, there are people like Jodorowsky, and there are people who've made kind of surrealistic films before, but I've never seen anything quite like This Is Not a Movie before. This film would have been impossible without an actor as gifted as Eddie Furlong. And if we don't believe him moment by moment, if there were vacations he took or holidays in his belief, it would just let the air out of the film. So I'm hoping that it reminds people how good he is now that he's grown up. First of all, we've both been bad boys, and I've been a good boy longer. He's sort of grown into finding out that you can't do certain things in the world and survive. But he has this wisdom that you get from having made mistakes and picked yourself up by the collar. And so he's a real pro. I didn't know, how much exposure he'd gotten. I never realized how much the Terminator films really sophisticated him and brought him around the world. And so I think of him as a friend. Well, I was with Olayo on the set and off the set, and there was no difference. We had as much fun eating dinner and laughing and talking and trading gossip as we did working together, laughing and talking and trading ideas. I think he's a really gifted person. I think he's like crazy brilliant, and he's young, and he's only going to season and get better and more skillful, and I think it's going to be another great Mexican export. Olayo's my favorite kind of director, which means collaborative, playful, and appreciative. He knew what he was doing. He wrote the script. He had a very clear idea of what he was doing, but he invited the actors' improvisation. He invited the actors to surprise him. When you did something that he didn't expect, he laughed and was delighted. The director has so much authority in the making of a movie because he goes away and he cuts it. So he doesn't have to exert his authority on the set. Very often when you work for a director and he's got like a stick up his butt, and he's being very authoritative, it just takes the fun out of the work. With Olayo, it just turned into collaborative play.